Okay guys, welcome back to TutShack. Sorry I haven't uploaded a video in a while. I've been down with the flu, so I haven't been up to making any tutorials. But I'm getting better now. If I do cough during the tutorial, I'm sorry, I apologise. Hopefully it's not too much of an inconvenience. So we'll get right into it. I'm starting a new series called After Effects Basics. Now I got a lot of messages of people who have been editing on Sony Vegas for a while and would like to make the switch to After Effects, which a lot of editors do. Only problem with this is After Effects has a completely different layout and to most is a lot more complicated. So no one knows the basics, how to do the very simplest of things. So I'll be making this series. I'll be bringing out episodes every now and then, just helping you through it, giving you lots of different tips. So this is number one. I'll be going through the very basics. I'll be covering how to import a clip, how to adjust your composition, how to render, and we might play around with a bit of audio. We'll see what happens. I don't want it to go for too long, but if you've had experience with After Effects before, you should know all this. You can watch it still anyway, you might pick up something new. If you've never touched After Effects before and you are liking to learn, well, you'll learn a lot from this. So the first thing we're going to do is import our clip, or your media, or whatever you're putting in. So I'll just drag my clip into After Effects and drop it in the Project tab here. Now there are two tabs here. You've got Project and After Effects Controls. That all happens when you insert effects, which I'll be covering probably in the next episode. So we'll just leave it on Project for now, and we have two tabs down the bottom here. We have the Composition tab, which at the moment isn't named, so it's just got none, and we've got the Render Queue. So we keep it on the Composition one for now, and we drag our clip into that tab. You can do it by dragging it onto the screen. The only reason I drag it down the bottom over that is because if you drag it onto the screen and you don't line it up like that, it takes a bit of fiddling around to get it, centered, and you might have it a bit off. And I'd rather just drop it in down the bottom. It automatically snaps onto the middle, and it's easy to work with. So the first thing is getting your setup ready for you to edit. I don't need my timeline that big, so I can drag that down to make my preview box bigger. Now you can zoom in and out just with your scroll on your mouse, but if you zoom out too much, then it's not big enough. If you zoom in, it goes too close. A way around this is going to your magnification ratio, and you click on Fit up to 100%. They'll snap it perfectly into this box, and if we move it up and down to give us more room on our layers, it will automatically adjust it so it fits in that box perfectly. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. That's set up how we like it. That's a good tip. Now the second thing is composition layers. In Sony Vegas, the timeline just goes for infinite. You can just keep adding things and putting them on the back of them. In After Effects, you can't do that. The composition only goes for as long as the clip. Now that can be a good thing, but also it can be a pain in the ass. So, for example, if I dropped in another clip and put that underneath this one, because there's layers, you can't see what's on the bottom layer until the top layer is finished. So that's why we can't see the second clip. And obviously we can't drag it after this one because there's no more room, because the composition ends at the end of this clip. So a way to fix this, the easiest way, is to right click on your composition layer, go to composition settings. It will come up with the width, the height, all that, which should be exactly the same as your clip. So when you drag your clip into the composition layer, it should automatically adjust it to match your clip. The frame rate, the height, the width, that should all be good, so you don't have to touch any of that. If it's not, then yeah, you can manually adjust it and it will all fit together nicely. So now the duration only goes for 5 seconds and 46 milliseconds, which is the length of my first clip. Now I've added in my second one. I don't know the exact time, so I'm just going to make it 1 minute, which is obviously too big, but we can fix that later. Alright, so now we just drag this out, and we've got a timeline of 1 minute. Our first clip ends, second one starts. That's all good, but we've got all this black space here that we don't need. So we can zoom in with this little mountain scroller thing, or you can use this one at the top here as well. Alright, So my second clip ends at 9 seconds 12 milliseconds. That's the current time on the timeline. So I can right click, composition settings, and we can adjust this so it all fits in and there's no black spots at the end. So just type in 912, as you can see down here. Just copy it into the duration, press OK, and now the composition is the exact same length as my two clips. So we've got our composition set up, we've got our preview box set up so we can work with it. Now let's start doing some simple things like we'll split a clip. If you wanted to split a clip here, you have to make sure you're on the right layer. So I've got two clips here. I've got my second one, which is on the bottom, and my first one, which is on the top. It doesn't matter what order it is in, as long as they're one after each other. So I want to cut the first one, so I click on the first layer, Control Shift D. That will split the clip and automatically put it into a new layer. You can move this one around now. They're not grouped together. So that's how you split a clip. It's a bit different to Sony Vegas, where you just press S. Yeah, so it's Control Shift D to split a clip. If you want to shorten a clip, so let's say I didn't want the start bit, you can just zoom in. Instead of cutting it, you can just zoom in, drag the clip back to where you want it, and then drag the solid bar to the front. And then we can adjust these all to fit. So now I've got rid of that start bit, and the two clips still line up. So you can just drag your clip backwards and forwards. The solid bar represents what can be seen, and the hollowed out bar is what you've taken out and what you can put back on, so I can add that back if I want to. Whereas if you cut it, it's a bit harder to do that without, Control Zing and going backwards, undoing. So we figured all that out now. We know how to cut, we know how to shorten clips, we know how to set our preview box up, we know how to add clips. To preview what you've done, you'll see this green bar down the bottom here. I've only got these two little ones. To make it run, if you just press this play button here, it will preview it, but you'll see up here it's not in real time, which means it looks slow motion. So to preview it in real time, you press this RAM preview button. It will go through, it will green bar the whole composition, and then it will play it back like so. It will play it back in real time, and it will have audio. That's another thing a lot of people have problem with. They don't know how to see the audio. The only way to hear the audio in a preview is to RAM preview it first. To get your audio bars up, you click on the little drop down arrow, go to audio, and waveform, and that will bring up the waveform audio of your clip. So I'll do that in both of them. So now you can see the waveform, and the only way to hear that is by RAM previewing it first. So that's another good tip that surprisingly a lot of people don't know, and it is very simple. And if you've got a 10-minute project and you only want to hear from 3/4 of the way, you can go from current time, tick that box, RAM preview it, and it will only preview from where your marker is. So there's some very, very basics. Now we'll head over to rendering, how to render your clips. I was playing that up a bit. Okay, so you've got what you want. The timeline is exactly as long as you want it to be. You go up here to composition, you go add to render queue, and it will automatically take you to this tab here. So that's the tab we're working on. This is the render queue tab here. Render settings should be best settings by default. You don't have to touch any of that if you don't want to. After Effects automatically optimizes everything for the best possible quality. I mean, you can fiddle around with it if you want, but it's not going to make a lot of difference at all. So I choose just to leave that the same. Lossless, exactly the same again. You can change the format if you want. I think AVI works out the best. It is a bigger file, but if you've had experience with Sony Vegas before, you can re-render it in Sony Vegas, and it'll make it a lot smaller, and it's just easy to work with. You can do WAV or QuickTime. You can do all of that. I prefer to do AVI, personal preference. But yeah, you're most welcome to fiddle around with any of that, and yeah, you can make your own settings up. Now, audio output. If you don't have this ticked, you won't get an audio in your render. So you have to have audio output ticked. Leave that how it is. That's the exact same as what your audio input is, so it's not changing it at all. It's going to sound exactly the same, best quality you can get, so just leave that how it is. Resize and crop, you just leave that how it is. It all fits in with your clip. So make sure that audio output box is ticked, and then output to, click on that one, and you can choose where you want it to go to. You can choose a name, and then you just click save, and then you press this render button here. When you press this render button, as you can see, it will start to render with this yellow bar. When it's finished, I'm going to stop that because I really don't want it. When it's finished, it will make a ding or a beep sound, I'm not really sure, and your clip will be wherever you saved it to. So that's the very, very basics. This has been App 1. Next time I'll go over things a bit more complex, a few more hotkeys, how to add different effects, how to remove effects, etc. So hopefully this has given you enough to, just practice, and yeah, hopefully this has helped those people who have never touched After Effects before. So if you like this series and think I should continue, please don't hesitate, leave a comment. I appreciate all feedback. I read every comment, and I usually reply to most of them too. So yeah, thanks guys.